For more than 40 years, the Baltimore Times has brought you positive stories about positive people. Welcome to the next chapter of storytelling. I'm your host, Zuryna, and this is Be More Positive. Today, I'm so excited to have the First Lady of Baltimore City, Hana Scott. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Look, when we were talking about this podcast, my executive producer, Harold, said, who do you want to interview? And the first person I said, no lie, was the First Lady. He was like, what? We can make it happen. And here you are. So the power of the tongue is real. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for considering me. I appreciate that.
Well, you know what? We always see Mayor Scott front and center. Mask Up Shorty is my vocal stem. I promise I say that every day when people get to coughing too egregiously. I'm like, mask up, Shorty. So we see him, but I want to see you. I want to talk about you and your story.
Because I'm the catch here, right?
Hello, thank you very much. And I always say women and wives and moms are the project managers of life. And we see him doing this hard job, but who is running the household? Who is doing things behind the scenes? So Thank you for joining us to tell your story. And before we get into everything, I always like to do a mental health check. How are you doing? All the things that are going on, how is Hana doing?
You know, that is a layered question because on one hand, I feel like I'm so blessed. My family's doing well. My children are thriving. But we're in some really crazy times.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to not have anxiety every single day and just be in a constant state of worry about what lies ahead for us, for our kids. Sometimes I have to deactivate my social media for like a week and just take a mental health break just so that I'm not doom scrolling and looking at headlines all day long. So I'm blessed. And then it's also a lot going on.
My grandma always says 6 eggs in one hand, half a dozen in the other. So I truly understand that. And thank you for sharing that. Okay, so before we get into the nitty gritty of everything, like I said, we know you as Baltimore City's First Lady. We see your amazing family, your beautiful children. But what is your origin story? Like, I feel like that's not readily available. Where did Hana grow up? Who are you?
So, like Cardi B so eloquently said, I'm a regular, smegular girl.
I know that's right.
I grew up in Northeast Baltimore. I went to Baltimore City Public Schools, Northwood, Roland Park, Poly. My dad actually raised me and my brother, and so he was a single father. I actually shared a bedroom with my dad and my brother until I went to college. I didn't have my own room until I went away to college. And so humble beginnings, but I always knew education was the way out. So I studied hard, got into Roland Park, got into Poly, got a full scholarship to college, no student loans, no student debt.
We'd love to hear it.
I just love the city. I feel like I am a Baltimore girl through and through. Yeah. And I believe in the city and I love the city with my whole heart.
Oh, I love that. That gives me chills. So I am a transplant, born and raised in Houston, Texas, but I consider myself half Houstonian, half Baltimorean because I moved here in 2004. But the one thing that I can say, people from Baltimore have so much pride, and it just makes you love the city. So when I hear you say that, it just gives me chills. But now I'm going to have to ask you to explain something to me like I'm 5 years old.
Okay.
Northeast, Southeast, I'm North Side certified. What's the directions? What's going on? You said you Northeast certified. Where is that?
I mean, it's a map, and then there's quadrants, and there's Northeast, Southeast.
What neighborhood is that?
So Baltimore is a city of neighborhoods. And so I grew up in Northwood. I mean, you don't really hear people saying Northwood.
Yeah.
But for a frame of reference, it's right over by Morgan State. And so if you're familiar with Morgan
Lounge.
State,
okay, I remember Pork Chop Reporting Lab. Okay, I remember that. So that's where you're from. That's the neighborhood. Okay.
Yep, Northwood.
All right. And now you said you went to Poly.
I did.
Now I hear about this Poly City pride rivalry. Explain that to someone who is a transplant. Explain that pride that you have. That high school experience.
The Poly City rivalry is actually one of the longest standing rivalries in the country.
Really?
Yes, in the country.
I'm learning something new today.
Baltimore Polytechnic Institute and Baltimore City College both used to be all-boys schools. They both, obviously are not all boys anymore. Yeah. But they have been playing this football game every year with the exception, I think, of COVID year.
Yes.
Against each other.
Now, I've attended. Didn't know
and
why.
We won the last one. It's been a minute, but we won the last one.
Well, look, don't get me to tapping into, I don't know, Poly City. I just go whoever's the most alive at the events. That's who I'm rooting for. Go Poly, go City, go everybody. Yay, football.
No, go Poly only.
Oh,
and the funny thing is my dad went to City and his brothers went to City. And then me and my brother, we were the first ones to go to Poly.
So now it's a family rivalry.
Yes.
I know that's right. Okay, so where did you go for college? I heard UMES. And if I read correctly, I think I heard a biology major.
Yes.
Sister Cat, we're going to have to talk about how we got from biology to here.
Yes. So University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, that's where I went to college. Again, full scholarship, full academic scholarship. They had a program where they were bringing in Black STEM majors.
Okay.
And so there was a Lewis Alliance, Stokes, participation for minority participation. I can't remember the exact name, but the acronym is LSAMP. And I actually found out about the scholarship through another one of my good friends at Poly because she got the scholarship.
Yeah.
And I had actually had my sights set on Xavier in New Orleans, but they weren't trying to give me any money. I think they gave me like $4,000 a year, and it was the math wasn't math.
The math was not math.
And so I got the scholarship coordinator's number. I called her and then I said, "This is what my SATs look like. This is, what my transcript looks like." And she was just like,
a project manager from the start.
Like, "Oh, this sounds like you'd be in, fax." At that time we were faxing. Fax your transcript over, and I got the scholarship. And then there I am. And I will say that I graduated high school in 2004. There wasn't a lot of hype around HBCUs the way it is now. Like now, Mackenzie Scott's donating millions to HBCUs. She's donating millions to UMES.
It's really a moment.
And there's this renewed sense of pride to attend HBCU. Back then, folks were like, "What is UMES? UMBC? College Park? Well, we don't know what this is. You shouldn't go there." Like they have a reputation, and I had to block out that noise and say, this is the school for me. And it was a small school. It still is a small school. My classes were all small. I knew all of my professors personally for every class. If I missed a day or was slipping, they checked up on me.
Yeah.
And I needed that. And so I loved my time at UMES.
So for someone who is on their college search journey and they're trying to decide between an HBCU and a PWI, what would you say to them to make that decision?
I don't know that there is one thing that I would say. For me, I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU. That's why the choice was between Xavier and UMES. But I think if you want that HBCU experience, don't just think about the same few HBCUs. I mean, they're great schools, I know, but there are public HBCUs, there are private HBCUs. Think about the entire, your scholarship package, your financial aid package, the city that is in, the state, some of the laws that are happening in those cities, right? Because say you want to go somewhere, but their governor decided that you can't talk about slavery in the textbooks, right?
Is that unnerving? You got to think
is
about
that the sacrifice you want to make? And here in Maryland, I know we have a lot of programs where you can go to community college first and then transfer to a four-year institution. And we have Bowie State, Morgan State, Coppin State, and UMES all in Maryland for HBCU choices. So there's not one piece of advice I would give. I would say think about everything in totality. And even if you have your mind and your heart set somewhere, I had my heart set at Xavier. I really wanted to be in New Orleans. I understood that I would graduate with a leg up if I didn't have any student loans.
Yes.
And I made the best of my experience at UMES.
Yeah.
And so thinking about all of that, not just, this is my dream school and I'm going to be $1 million in debt just to make that dream come true. So there's just a lot of things to take into consideration. But I guess the main thing is there are several dozen HBCUs. So look at them all before you make your decision.
This episode of Be More Positive is brought to you by Elevation Global Media Group. Elevation Global Media Group empowers individuals, businesses, and ministries to be heard across TV, radio, and social media. Whether you need professional production, branding, media, or marketing solutions, Elevation Global Media Group is your go-to. Amplify your message, expand your reach, elevate your life with EGMG. Visit elevationglobalmediagroup.com and let's elevate together. I know that's right. And one thing you did not say is she didn't consider the parties, the lifestyle part of it. Now, I know community is another part of HBCUs, and I read that you recently pledged Delta Sigma Theta.
Yes.
So you did that post-grad.
Post-grad.
Can you talk a little bit about why you chose to do that post-grad versus during your HBCU time, during your 4 years?
So in high school, I had a chemistry professor by the name of Dr. Demetria Newsom, and she has since passed away, but she is the first Delta woman that I was introduced to, and I knew that since high school that I wanted to be a Delta woman. And when I got to college, unfortunately, the chapter was suspended, so that, pledging an undergrad wasn't a part of my story. And then after college, the timing and things just weren't aligned. And it's just a dream that I held on to for over 20 years. And when I think about even the Delta women locally, how they are contributing to the legacy of Delta women, I knew that I wanted to also contribute to that legacy. And it's
so
just
inspiring.
it's something that I've just known I wanted for myself, and then everything just was in alignment for me to
truly divine timing. Yep. You're so inspiring because I think I've always had that dream. I'm not going to say which one because I know that's like the rule. You can't say which one you want to be in, but I've always had that desire for that community. And I think that's really what it is. So it's really inspiring to see you do that a little bit later in life because, again, I had the same issue. The sorority that I wanted to pledge in college, they got disbarred. So the same situation. So you're giving me hope that maybe there's still some time for me to do that.
Absolutely. So in my line, there were 86 of us. And
86?
My youngest line sister was 21. She had just graduated from college. And then we had a line sister that was, I think, 65. And it was like all ages in between, so it was not too late. Not too late.
Okay, I'm going to put that on my vision board for next year. Maybe I'm going to do that. Now, let's talk about this biology major. So you majored in biology, and now you are the founder, owner of Pew Insights, which is project management, correct?
And operations.
Yes. I love an ops girly.
Yes.
So how did we get from biology to operations, project management, and all of those things? Talk us through that journey.
So I don't know if this is a superpower or a handicap, but I think I'm great at everything and I can do everything.
You better toot your own
Call myself
horn.
the Jill of all trades.
Yes.
And so from a young age, I thought that I knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, but I think it's actually a little bit crazy that we expect 17-year-olds to decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives. Anyway, I thought that I wanted to be a pediatric neurosurgeon, and so...
Well, you know what? We can dream together, because I was a nursing major, and I'm not doing that. No, thank you.
And so hence why I wanted to go to Xavier, because they graduate more Black doctors than anywhere else in the country. And I graduated with a degree in biology, and after I graduated, I worked in research for about 6-7 years.
6-7. Oh, you are really a mom.
And I realized it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I felt like people were really impressed when I told them what I do. And I was working on vaccine research for diseases like malaria, HIV. You know how small mosquitoes are? I actually would have a microscope and I would dissect mosquitoes under the microscope. I would pull their salivary glands. We were actually growing malaria parasites and taking that and creating a vaccine that we were then trying to make, get the FDA to approve for clinical trials. So when I'm telling this story, it's very impressive, but I was miserable. I was behind a microscope all day long in a lab by myself.
Knowing
talking
your
to
personality,
myself.
I could not picture
it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't fulfilling. And so I just was trying to decide what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I dabbled in a few things here and there. I like to say I collected job titles like Infinity Stones. And I actually settled down prior and had a family. And I knew that I wanted to have something where I had flexibility to be a mom, but still be able to work. And so I didn't come out and say, oh, I want to be a business owner. In fact, I used to always say I'd be an awful business owner because I don't know anything about business.
Yeah.
And here I am. I've had my business since 2017.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you say has been your most impactful client through your business?
You know what? I'm glad you asked me that because in the very beginning, I signed contracts with anyone who would pay me money.
Same.
And
Same.
Now I'm at a space where I'm very intentional about the projects and the clients that I take on. I try to only work with Black women-led organizations, Black-led teams, or mission-based organizations. And so I've had several nonprofit clients that I've helped scale. I've worked in education. I've worked even in Baltimore City Schools before becoming First Lady. I had a contract with the early learning department. I've worked with MSDE, a couple of other nonprofits. I've even worked with nonprofits around the country. And so I do still take the occasional tech client or retail client because I feel like
if you don't use that skill, you lose it. You got to kind of work with that niche.
Not only that, but nonprofits sometimes come with nonprofit budgets.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say no because of money, right? And so I can have my full-paying tech clients and then be able to offer my services to the more impactful clients. So.
You are really speaking the language of the modern entrepreneur, and I'm so happy we're having this transparent conversation because I feel like a lot of people are having these internal debates about what clients to take or how to move on in business. So thank you for sharing that.
And I was at a crossroad last year, actually, because I know everyone has seen in the news 300, 400,000 Black women forced out of the workforce.
Yeah.
A lot of the clients that I had were losing funding, losing their own clients. I had a huge DEI consultant, Black women-led client in DC that had lost essentially all of their clients, and then they had to cut their contract with me. A lot of the Black-led nonprofits I was working with lost funding and had to end contracts with me. And I had to ask myself, do I still want to go after these clients, or should I just be thinking about money? Should I be thinking about where there is a boom, like maybe in the tech industry, or kind of like revamping my business development to go after that? But I did the Goldman Sachs
Congrats.
1 Million Black Women in Business program.
Congrats.
And I was surrounded by Black women entrepreneurs. And I think that was like the resounding no that I needed to hear. No, do not change what you're doing.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of women starting businesses because they were pushed out of the workforce.
Absolutely.
And that is somewhere that I can kind of revamp my offerings to.
The power of the pivot, but the power of community. It sounds like you being in that environment really spearheaded you to continue to keep going. So I need to do that myself. I need to continue to find community so that I can continue to build my own business. So thank you for sharing that. Now, the one piece that you mentioned was that you got into your business because you were a mom and you wanted to have more flexibility. Let's talk a little bit about motherhood.
Yes.
What has been the biggest blessing? And you have 3 children.
Ooh,
so
11 kids. 11.
Listen, I say the people with multiple kids, you guys are some no-limit soldiers.
We're crazy for that. Sometimes I look in the mirror like, oh, you wild for that, girl. 3 kids?
3 of them. And you did the last 2 back to back. I don't, listen.
Do not recommend. 0 stars.
I won't and absolutely will not, because they say that postpartum recovery is like 3 years. My child will be 4 and I'm still not there yet. So, but like, what has been the biggest blessing of motherhood?
So I know I was talking a little bit of smack earlier, but I love being a mom. I think I was put on earth to be a mom. And first of all, I feel like parenting is healing your inner child.
Yeah.
It's unlearning a lot of the toxic things that we were taught when we were young, just because that was just the way that the world was. Like, children should be seen and not heard and not advocate for themselves. And so through parenting, I'm unlearning that, and I'm like healing my inner child. And I also just love watching my kids just learn new things.
Yeah.
So the baby Camden, she's 11 months. And when she hits her new milestone, she claps for herself.
Yes.
And Charm, he's 2. And when he's figuring things out, he's excited for himself. And my oldest, Zuryna, he's 10. And as he's learning and maneuvering through the world and figuring out, where he is socially and all of that, I just love to see them learn new things and share it with me. I think that's my favorite part of motherhood.
I can agree. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry, because I'm thinking about my child. She's in this inquisitive stage. Everything's a why. And when I was growing up, to your point,
because
you don't ask exactly. Don't ask me that. Right. And I find myself now. She asked me, "Mom, what sound do unicorns make?" And my mom, I remember her. She would be like, "Girl, shut up, I don't know." But I really had to Google, what sound do unicorns make? And we had a whole conversation. I'm like, "Baby, I don't know if that unicorns makes." So things like that, it really causes me to slow down and do that, and be more present.
And not just that, I think about when I was being disciplined as a child and the answer was just, you do it because I say so.
Yes.
I feel like it really didn't make me confident in my own decision making.
Yes.
So like when I got out in the world, I wasn't confident. I second guessed myself all the time.
Absolutely.
I felt like I needed to ask people, like, do you think I should do this? Like, I needed someone else to kind of validate my choices. And for Zuryna, my 10-year-old, I want to teach him this is the reason why you shouldn't do that. So when he's away from me, he has the critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not going to make the bad decision because I'm worried about my mom getting mad at me. I'm not making this bad decision because it's an awful decision. You know what I mean? And so I just love seeing like the gears in his brain turn as he's thinking things out. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I want to say, boys, because I said so.
Yes. You know what? I sometimes will say it, but I redirect. I'll be like, you know what? Mommy didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. And honestly, I used to laugh before I had my daughter. I'd be like, I would never be a gentle parent. I'm just gonna... No, I'm a gentle parent now. I find myself really having to pause.
So it's a difference between gentle and permissive.
Okay,
you don't have to be a permissive parent. You're not just going to get away with things and walk all over, and there's going to be boundaries.
Yes.
I'm going to explain to you why you're getting this punishment. I'm going to explain to you why you're getting your iPad taken away. I'm going to explain to you why you're getting in trouble. But we can have a discussion about it. It's not going to be
because I said so. Okay, come on. I like that. Now, who's the disciplinarian? Are you the disciplinarian, or is Mr. Mayor Brandon Scott the disciplinarian?
We take turns. We take turns.
Not good cop, bad cop.
Because sometimes he's more lenient.
Yeah.
He's actually the more patient out of the two of us. So
really?
In the moment, I'll react. And then I have to come back and be like, you know what? You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry.
I love that dichotomy of a two-parent household where you can go back and forth. I love that.
But we don't make those decisions in front of him. We kind of like let the other person rock. And then later on, we'll debrief and be like, that was a little excessive.
I love it. Lessons learned. You guys are project managers through and through. That debrief, lessons learned after that is so critical. Now, you've been very transparent about your postpartum journey. I follow you on Threads. How is that going? How is the breastfeeding? I know we talked about that briefly. What advice would you give to any mom on their postpartum journey?
So I'm still nursing.
I'm praying for you.
Unfortunately.
I am yet praying for you. Because I remember that so
ready
vividly.
To wean. She is not ready to wean. She's not ready to wean. And you know, I've breastfed all three of my kids, and I'm tired. Tired, Grandpa. Like, I'm ready to...
And your daughter's like, well, that's just too bad.
Right? I would say this last pregnancy, because I'd already had 2 children, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. I've done this twice before.
No.
And I was putting stuff on my calendar like a month after my due date. Like, I'll be ready to go to this gala. Because after I had Charm, I went to a gala like a month after I had him. So I thought it was going to be the same. This was the hardest pregnancy and the hardest postpartum period for me out of the 3 children. I don't know if it's because she's a girl. I don't know if it's because I'm old now. I don't know what it is, but it was really challenging. It was really challenging to the point where after I had Cam, my friends or my family would be texting me, just checking up.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what I was saying back. And they were just like, you don't sound like yourself. I'm coming over to hold the baby just so you can rest. So
thank God for a village.
It was very evident that I was not in a good space mentally after having the baby this last time, after having Cam. And it just took longer for me to
If you
get
don't
back.
mind sharing, what were some of the symptoms that you observed? I know you said your family members were saying you don't sound like yourself. What were some other things that you felt?
I just didn't find the joy in things the way that I used to, or even some of the things that I used to enjoy doing. They just didn't bring me joy. I was having a hard time with finding the good. I was becoming a glass half empty person.
Ooh,
and I was just laying in bed all the time, like just really not wanting to get up and do anything. And it was beyond just being exhausted because I have a newborn. I just wouldn't get out of bed. I would just lay in bed all day. And whenever someone was checking on me, you know, even if you're making small talk and something, oh, how you doing? Oh, good. I was
just disassociating.
I wasn't even saying good. I don't know what I was saying, but it wasn't good. You know, and I was just like, I feel awful. I can't get out of bed. I'm tired. I'm crying every day. It was really tough. Brandon was just like, I am really worried about you. And so
how did you recover? How did you get through that?
A nurse, midwife, psychiatrist who works specifically with post and prepartum moms. I'm probably saying that incorrectly. She works with pregnant moms and postpartum moms only. Her and a therapist. I needed a little bit of both. I needed the psychiatrist and I needed my therapist. And between the two of them, my village, Brandon, I've been able to make it through, and I'm still postpartum technically.
Absolutely.
And I'm still trying to get back to myself and realize that things have changed and have more grace for myself. I think I have to write down, have more grace for yourself, Hana. You're still in postpartum. You're doing all the
Your
things.
baby is 11 months old. That's why I said have some grace for with yourself. And that's why I always think about you, because we'll talk about this in a little bit, but I've seen that you've been, attacked in the social media realm of things. And that combined with your own postpartum journey, your mental journey, I'm always thinking about you. And I'm like, oh, I hope she's okay. But speaking of that, you have faced some backlash, both you and your husband. So how do you guys deal with that? Being public servants, I know it probably comes with the territory, but it's a lot. And I've seen it, and I'm like, ooh. So how do you guys deal with that?
Well, I'm not the public servant, but I am married to a public servant.
Yes.
And so I like to think that I'm a private citizen, but I know that being married to a public servant, I'm probably considered a public figure.
Correct.
And to be honest, I'm still learning how to navigate that, because reading negative things about yourself every day for years is not a normal human experience.
Correct.
It's not. Mm-hmm. And I can't pretend that I'm always unaffected by the things people are saying. But I have to remind myself that if I had to take time and respond to every lie and to every negative thing said about me, I wouldn't be doing anything else but responding all day long. I wouldn't have time to do anything else. And so, sometimes I want to type out this clapback, and instead I just put it in my group chat, or
I would love to be a fly on the wall. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that group chat, because I know Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. No, you need to take it to the floor.
Sometimes I want to go to Hades. Okay,
as you should.
Michelle, I don't always want to go high.
Yeah, but we got to take it to the floor.
Especially when it's about my children, because then the mama bear comes out.
Yeah, I commend you. Like I said, I follow you on Threads. Don't worry, we got it. We your no limit soldiers. We got you. Okay.
I don't want to be the bigger person. I want to be the littler person.
We don't want you to sometimes. Don't worry, we got you. And I know Brandon is so tired. Please tell me he has a social media person fielding those requests, because it's everything from Brandon my pothole, Brandon my trash.
It's him. A lot of the times it's him, and he does have a team, but a lot of times it is him.
Wow. So you guys hear it first. Brandon is really actually answering all of these messages. Oh wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Work-life balance. Ugh. Okay, so the last question I have about this is Baltimore typically gets reduced to these stereotypes, negative stereotypes. It's commonly associated with The Wire. If you had to tell somebody to please redirect what you're thinking about Baltimore, what would you tell them what would you tell them to think about Baltimore?
The crazy thing is I didn't watch The Wire until the pandemic.
Really?
And first, when it came out, it was on HBO, and I was too broke to have HBO. And then I just didn't think about watching it. Like, why do I need to watch something about my city, and I'm from the city?
Yeah.
And so, I give The Wire props. A good show, well written, characters fleshed out. I like that. But you don't hear people say, I'm scared to go to New York because of the NYPD show. Or I'm scared to go to Chicago because whatever show is in Chicago. Or I'm scared to go to LA because NCIS LA talks about...
Yeah.
But they do it with Baltimore, because Baltimore is majority black.
Yes.
And it's historically a blue-collar city. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to punch down on Baltimore and make it like there's this boogeyman in Baltimore because of those things. Because like I said, the other large cities... when you see all the drug lords and cartels in Miami, It's like, oh, that's so cool, and I'm still going to go to South Beach for spring break. There's nothing that's saying I'm scared of Miami the way folks were scared of Baltimore.
And I'm like, this is a charming city. Like, don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Okay, so we're going to play a little game. It's called BeMore Baltimore. You ready? Okay, so just a few little rapid fire questions. Okay. No pressure. You was a biology major. You got through them tests. You can get through this real quick. Okay, so when you want to show someone the heart of Baltimore, like me, a Baltimore transplant, where are we going first?
Ooh, so my favorite part of the city is actually by the water it used to be called Port Covington, but now it's the peninsula. Right over by Hanover Street Bridge, especially if you go on the Cherry Hill side, because you get a view of the water. I love being near water. It calms me. So you get a view of the water. You can see the skyline of the harbor in downtown. You can see greenery. There's the Hanover Street Bridge, so there's the traffic, and so you get a little bit of everything in
Very
that. And
picturesque.
I feel like it's beautiful. Matter of fact, when Brandon and I got married, before the ceremony, we drove to our favorite parts of the city. So we drove down there and took pictures and had the Hanover Street Bridge behind us, because that's just my favorite part of the city.
Guys, it sounds so romantic. I love that. Okay, so what is the most underrated Baltimore event or attraction that deserves a little more love?
Ooh, So attraction, I would say Druid Hill Park. And for me, Druid Hill Park is really nostalgic because I used to go to Stone Soul Picnic every summer.
Yes, I used to hear the stories about that.
And now Afram is there every summer.
I went last year. Good job, you guys.
Thank you. And I feel like there's so much there. There's the new pool, the new like courts, and there's the conservatory there, and then there's the zoo, and so you get a little bit of everything. They're kind of rebuilding that trail and doing all the construction there. So I feel like it's not going to be underrated for much longer, but I feel like it doesn't get as much love as it should.
It does not, because I don't think about that when I think about it, but you are right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another one. Finish this sentence. A Baltimore summer isn't complete without blank.
Without an egg custard snowball with marshmallow.
With the marshmallow?
Specifically shaved ice.
From where? Where's your favorite place to go?
Ooh. One Sweet Moment in Hamilton and Walter Gardens. My two favorite.
Now, this isn't a question on here, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay. Where's your favorite place to get a crab cake?
Coco's.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody's going to say that. I'm going to have to go to Coco's.
Yeah, and it's in Northeast, too.
Okay. The last question of this game is, one thing people misunderstand about Baltimore is blank.
Misunderstand? I think people misunderstand just how charming and resilient and gritty and witty the folks here are. And that doesn't just go for like Baltimoreans born and bred. Even the transplants that come here and call this place home and integrate into the community and find their space here, that just rubs off on them too. Yeah,
I can attest to that. I'm a transplant, and I just feel like that grit that you talked about, it's ingrained in me now. Like even when I went away to school for a little bit, I didn't say I was from Houston. I said I was from Baltimore. Don't kill me, y'all. Don't kill me. So, yeah. So, in closing, what does Be More Positive mean to you?
Be more positive. You know, I feel like there is a lot of criticism without solid solutions kind of buzzing around right now. And people not understanding how far the city has come in the last decade. Right?
Absolutely.
And so when I think about Be More Positive, I think about focusing on those impactful stories or impactful organizations that are on the ground doing the work within the communities, with our electeds who are trying to make change in a sustainable way, not just in a quick way to bring millionaires here and drop the price up as ridiculous as it can be. Not a vanity outcome. Right, but just doing things in a sustainable way. And I like I said, I love Baltimore so much with my whole heart. And so, like, we named our kids Charm and Camden for Camden Yards. Yes. So that's how much we love Baltimore. And when I think about Be More Positive, I just think about all the potential and even the renaissance that's happening right now.
And you guys are a part of that. You and your husband are at the helm of that, so we appreciate the work that you all are doing.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so how can we keep up with all things Hana Scott? I know you said you don't think you're a public servant, and you're not. You're a public figure, influencer, content creator era. How can we keep up with all the things?
Creator.
Tap into it. Yes.
So I'm on all socials as the Hana Scott. So TheHanaScott. So the Hana Scott, and then I'm actually launching thehanascott.com soon. So.
Exclusive. Be More Positive.
Hana Scott on all socials, and then thehanascott.com.
The Hana Scott. Okay, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for having
I'm so
me.
excited.
This was fun. We got to do it again.
Yes, Ratchet and Righteous coming soon. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Be More Positive.